Hi everybody, we're going to talk about the 8th grade Common Core lesson 10.3. We're going to be talking about the quotient of the power properties. I'm going to remind you that everything I write down, you write down. You also need to make sure that you're starting and stopping throughout. If there's an example that you don't understand, you should be going back and rewatching it. The sides are for you to go ahead and write questions about a specific example or an overview example. If that is not a question that you're going to be prepared to ask and you need to know right away, or it's something that you want to email, feel free to go ahead and do that. So we're going to start with our rule. This is saying that when we're dividing, because a fraction means division, and I have a to the n divided by a to the n, what I need to go ahead and do is I can take those exponents and subtract them. So am over a to the n is really a and then m minus n. You're actually subtracting the exponents to simplify. So these examples will all be applying the division property, power property. In our first example, they're asking us to simplify 2 to the 6th divided by 2 to the 4th. I'm going to go ahead and write it what it really means first. So this means that I have 6 2's in my numerator and that I have 4 2's in my denominator. So if I were to go ahead and simplify this, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 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 I am left with 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 2 times 2, all ones on the bottom. So 2 times 2 is 4. So I've simplified it by going ahead and writing the repeated multiplication out to figure out my answer is 4. I can also go ahead and apply the rule to this problem by using my shortcut. That shortcut would be that I'm going ahead and I'm taking 2 to the 6th power and I'm subtracting 4 of the 2's from the bottom. So I literally take the numerator exponent and I subtract the denominator exponent. I'm left with 6 minus 4, which is 2, for an answer of 4. I get the same answer if I go ahead and I use repeated multiplication or I use the quotient property power rule. The goal would be for you to be able to go ahead and go straight to that. All right. One of the math practices said that you need to be efficient, and this rule makes you efficient. We're going to apply that same rule to example 2. I have 7 negative 8's. 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dot negative dot negative. Okay, and then I have 7 of them on the bottom. Same rules apply. I have 8 on the top, 7 on the bottom. And I can use division to say that negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1. So all of these are 1's. These are all 1's. There's nothing left on my bottom. I just have one negative 7 left. So 1 times negative 7 ends up equaling negative 7. If I were to apply the rule, I could go ahead and say negative 7 is to the 8th power, and I'm going to subtract the 7 of them on the bottom. And so I have negative 7 to the 1st power, which equals negative 7. Again, this would be your goal. So when the bases are the same, you simply go ahead and when you're using division, you're going to subtract the numerator exponent by the denominator exponent. We're now going to go ahead and move on to the next 2 examples. In the next 2 examples, you're going to go ahead and apply what you did in lesson 10.2 and 10.3. So in example 3, if we were to just look at the numerator, that would have been a review from the 10.2 when you're just multiplying when the bases are the same. If I were to go ahead and just multiply when the bases are the same, I simply add the 4 and the 2. So I now have 3 to the 6 because 4 plus 2 is 6. In the bottom, I have 3 to the 3rd. Now, I can go ahead and write out 4 3's and 2 3's and 3 3's and simplify it using a fraction, but I'm going to use my power rule, where I have 4 plus 2 is 6, and then I have 6 minus 3 is 3. Now, you have to pay attention to the directions. The directions may say simplify, but write your write your answer as an exponent. In this case, I really want you just to simplify and evaluate, which means 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. If you were to write it out, you're still going to get 27. But the goal would be for you to be able to go ahead and use the exponents by adding the numerators and then subtracting that from the denominator. Example 4 is going to work the same way. Just because it's written as 2 fractions doesn't mean it's any different. you're still multiplying A10 times A7, and you're still multiplying A6 times A4. So I'm going to go ahead and follow my rules that when I'm multiplying, when the base is the same, I simply add my exponents. So this is 10 plus 7 on the top. Oh, that's an A, not a 10. A 10 plus 7 on the top. And in my denominator, I have 6 plus 4. So then I go ahead and I have A to the 17th over A to the 10th. Well, now I use my division rule to say, oh, there's 17 A's on the top, 10 A's on the bottom. If I were to write them all out, they're going to be canceling out, so I subtract. And that looks like A 17 minus 10, A is to the 7th power. So let's do a quick recap of what we've done here.